We're going to be going over Medical Monday today. Today we're going to talk about thyroid disorders. Your thyroid is responsible for major functions within your body, but when it doesn't function right, we have a lot of problems. So what in particular do we see problems with thyroid disease, Dr. Gabby?
So there's a lot of different types of thyroid disorders. Symptoms-wise, it can be anything from constipation to diarrhea. We can be jittery and really shaky. We can be exhausted and lethargic. There's a lot of other multitudes of things. We can be cold, we can be hot. It all depends on what type of thyroid disorder we have. The major difference between the two is hyperthyroidism, which is when our thyroid produces too much hormone, and we have usually these people are very tiny, they're very thin, their metabolism is very high, and they're also very anxious people. In regards to hypothyroidism, there are different forms of hypothyroidism, but that means that our thyroid underfunctions, and there's a lot that goes with that as well.
So we know that there's hyper and hypothyroidism based on how it functions, but about 60% of people who have thyroid problems don't even realize that they have it.
They don't even realize that they have it. That is 100% correct.
So you have symptoms because of this disease, but you never really get checked out because it's not something significant enough at times for most patients. Mm-hmm. So with 60% of the people having thyroid disorder,
and an estimated 20 million people in the United States have thyroid disorder, or some form of thyroid disorder.
So those are patients that we know of. Mm-hmm. So that's a very significant amount, and with the difference of 60% of people don't even get treated for it because they don't know they have it, but yet 40% of people are actually being treated, which equates to about 20 million. That's a very large percentage of the population that has this disorder,
yes.
But it disproportionately affects a certain gender.
Yes, correct. Women, it does. Women are 5 to 8 times more likely to have some form of a thyroid disorder in their lifetime than men. And so, yeah, we're cool like that. Or hot. What depends on which one you want. Yeah.
Depends on how you go with it.
Whichever thyroid disorder you want, you're either cool or you're hot.
But with the massive fluctuation of the female hormone, sometimes we see this disease affect the females disproportionately. And of course, as females age, they also go through menopause.
Yes.
But the thyroid itself, let's talk about what is the thyroid, where is it located, and exactly what does it do, Dr. Gabby?
So the thyroid is a gland. And so this gland specifically is located in our throat. If you're okay, I'll use you as my model here. So in men, we have the Adam's apple. Not we, but men have an Adam's apple. And the thyroid is located just below that Adam's apple there. And actually, I have a visual today. Okay. We're going to use some advanced technology.
We're kicking it up a notch.
Like magic. So this is a face you can see, and then here is the trachea. So this is your thyroid. There's a left lobe. Then we have the right lobe over here, and then a bridge across it, which is called the isthmus. And so, yes, this is also sometimes called, believe it or not, the butterfly gland.
As it definitely resembles that, the 2 wings on each side connected with a little piece in the middle. And but then on the back side of this thyroid, there's actually 4 pieces that help regulate it, and it's called the parathyroid
glands. There are 4 of them. Essentially, if we were to go back, there's one on the back of this area, one on the back of here, one on the back of here, and then one on the back of there. So they're evenly dispersed, like a butterfly's wings.
Just so.
Yes. So beautiful.
But the thyroid itself, it regulates a lot within the body. You know, Dr. Gabby talked about some patients are hot or some patients are cold because of this regulation, and that's actually your metabolism.
Yes.
So with your metabolism is regulated, it also regulates your temperature, protein synthesis.
Yes. Many other bodily functions in regards to, essentially if your body has it, the thyroid is going to support it or suppress it to help it with function. It's a very, very important organ. In fact, one of the stats we haven't gone over yet is that 90% of people who have some form of a thyroid disorder, it's actually autoimmune related, which means that the body itself is producing something that's affecting the thyroid. And so that, the thyroid itself, when it's affected, it has widespread and typically severe consequences
throughout the body.
Yeah.
I refer to this to patients as kind of the body's cruise control. So you want to be going at a good rate of speed. Your body can't be too hot, it can't be too cold. Now, the thyroid, as Dr. Gabby talked about with autoimmune disorders, will slow the thyroid down. So patients will be very sluggish, they'll gain weight, and that's not something that's healthy for patients. So you want to speed the thyroid up, which then speeds up their metabolism. But you've got to be very careful with the medications oftentimes to where you don't over-medicate a patient. Some patients were like, hey, over-medicate me. I want to lose some weight.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. If you're just think about if you're speeding in your car. Bad accidents happen when you increase your speed. We know that exponentially. We see that within the body too. When you increase that speed of your metabolism, those patients end up expiring about 3.5 years earlier than the average population. So it's just really this fine dance in between there of how your thyroid should function for you. Not too fast and not too slow.
Yes, you do want to find that sweet spot. And then one of the causes, right? We need to talk about what causes thyroid dysfunction. We're not just talking about autoimmune disorders. Iodine deficiency is probably one of the most major
correctable functions.
Yes.
That's
correct.
one of the major ones that we can directly correct.
Yes.
Iodine in your diet.
Yes, do not drink iodine, by the way. This
Yeah.
needs to be monitored. But yes, it is actually one of the most common issues. Autoimmune disorders. We have Graves' disease, and then we also have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. These are both hypothyroid related. One of them involves a goiter. So if you've ever seen anybody with a very large, enlarged neck area, that's a goiter. And the other one is more or less specific to symptoms. The virus or bacterial infection.
Yeah.
Yes, that could be specific to the thyroid. Lots of inflammation in this area. Typically, that's short term in regards to thyroid problems, although there are long-term effects when we talk about that as well. It just depends on the person. And then also additional hormone imbalances. We talked about women are most susceptible. Women have more hormone fluctuations throughout our life. And so therefore, sometimes a common time to receive a thyroid diagnosis is actually during menopause. So yeah, lots of things going on there.
So we know the thyroid needs to be regulated. What are some of the traditional ways that we regulate the thyroid? It's with medication. So the medication can actually speed up your metabolism or trick your thyroid into doing more work. But the body becomes dependent upon this medication.
Correct.
Just as much as if anything else. If I was doing your work for you, you would get a little bit lazy and think, oh, well, it's like kids. Yeah. If you're doing the laundry for them, why are they going to do the laundry? Same thing with your thyroid.
Yes, and the same thing for Medical Monday. Yeah, just to let you know. We put the same amount of work in here.
See, the same amount of work.
Yeah.
So that you don't become lazy on the other person. And that's what happens to your thyroid.
Yes.
It gets used to the medication and it becomes a little bit lazy, which is just natural.
Yes, correct. We also have home remedies, right?
Yep.
So we're not just talking about prescription fixes.
Yep.
We're also talking about home remedies. One of the over-the-counter ones that you had mentioned is Armor Thyroid.
Yep.
And so that's something you can get over the counter that actually has a good response rate. Again, though, we don't want to just mask these symptoms. This is not a duct tape type situation. We don't want to just duct tape it and come back to it later. It needs to be addressed. All of these tools exist actually so that you can support through this process, correct the problem, and then get off of those prescriptions or
you want to get off of them as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Some conditions and diseases, we understand that the thyroid needs to be regulated for life. But the ones that can be corrected, we want to do those because even on the medications, University of Penn talked about 41% of people are actually under-medicated. If they're still having these symptoms, they're still very fatigued, very tired. They're still gaining weight. And that's because they're a little bit under-medicated. But it's directly related to some of the home fixes that we can do that ties into this.
Yes.
And that is because of obesity. Mm-hmm. Obesity is one of the home fixes. Overweight. If you're overweight, what is it, 10 pounds?
10 pounds, yes. Clinically, if you lose 10 pounds, then at that point, it should be readdressed to reduce the amount of thyroid medication that you're
and the opposite goes if you gain 10 pounds.
Correct.
So
absolutely.
That is why about 41% from this study from University of Penn talked about patients were under-medicated. Well, because they're fatigued and tired, so they're gaining weight. It's no fault absolutely. Of theirs, but their medication needs to be addressed.
And the important aspect and lifestyle or even just weight in general, it's about one, portion control, and then two, if you're primarily eating trash, so you're not supporting your body. If you're primarily going through the grocery store on the outskirts, making salads, eating fresh foods, not boxed foods, obviously that's a better option. And also portion control. It shows up over time. It significantly helps and moves things forward there. right? This isn't just about lifestyle in regards to what we're putting in our mouths. It's also about what are you doing to help support your body to recover. And sleep and rest is very, very important for the body to recover. We don't just talk to patients in regards to thyroid problems with that. We talk to them about
everything.
Sleep and rest is part of everything, yes.
But
absolutely.
it is a critical part here
Yes.
because at nighttime is when your liver creates hormones through cholesterol. So the good cholesterol, not the bad cholesterol from the drive-through, but the good cholesterol, your body needs it to produce hormones.
Correct.
Because hormones are what regulate the thyroid. They're actually released through your pituitary gland. And that's what helps regulate the thyroid.
Yes.
So you need good cholesterol. You need that rest so your body can make the cholesterol so that you'll have the proper amount of hormones.
Yes. And then also exercise. Regular exercise is very important. Whether that activity be a regular walk with your dog, a regular walk around your kitchen, or even a regular workout routine at the gym with your, the jazzercise, the Zumba. There's so much stuff out there that we can do to help organize our exercise. But regular exercise and activity helps with all of these processes as well. So those are all things that we can do at home to help us.
We talk about the runner's high. People get excited when they exercise. And it could be any type of exercise. It doesn't have to be a runner's high because it releases endorphins. Endorphins, once again, come from the pituitary gland, which makes thyroid stimulating hormone, which is a synthetic pill that patients take. You don't need that pill if your pituitary gland is actually functioning and providing this hormone for your thyroid. So great options as far as health, options to eat right, sleep right, and get a little bit of exercise goes a very long way on some of these patients. They're teetering in between or a little bit under medicated, but because they're still having some symptoms.
Yeah. And I'd like to share a study, right? We're talking about these teetering back and forth, things to do at home, modern medicine, what is actually a standard of care when we talk about treatments. And there's a study out called Time for a Reassessment of the Treatment of Hypothyroidism. Very excited about that title. This, the original, or the first author is Migdali, and one of the quotes from it is, "It appears that we are witnessing a consequential historic shift in the treatment of thyroid disease, driven by over-reliance on a single laboratory parameter. The focus on biochemistry rather than patient symptom relief should be reassessed." And that's actually what we're going to focus on as in regards to what we can do here in the office for you. We can focus on the biochemistry side of things.
Yes.
We can actually look and where to correct inside our bodies the problems coming from to better support our human.
It's a good article. We want to reassess the treatment protocols because it talks about the symptoms. We cannot have this magical lab value that says, oh, this patient's good, or we know it fluctuates, and the patient needs to be listened to and respected as far as what are your symptoms? How can I help you as a provider to where you can have symptom relief? We want to get you treatment to where you will be able to function, not have this fatigue. But this fatigue, if it's not autoimmune cause, where do we see most of this fatigue coming from?
Most of the fatigue is actually coming from our own personal guts. So most of the fatigue actually comes over time, believe it or not, due to overexhaustion of our system. So our digestive tract is actually where we get most of our immune system, for one, and then also all of our nutritional value. So when we take food in, we digest it, and our body breaks it down through different systems and functions, as we talked about a few weeks ago. So with that, most of our nutritional absorption comes from our small intestines. When we are not properly absorbing our nutrition, we're not properly intaking things, our body has to, what I would describe as go on overdrive, and it has to try harder to find what it needs. We also have a symptom called leaky gut syndrome, where the barrier between our intestines and then the blood system that overlaps with that, it becomes leaky, literally. And so it leaks through, the contents of our gut leaks into our bloodstream, and then we have a more intense autoimmune response where our body attacks these foreign bodies that are not supposed to be in our bloodstream. So it's a vicious cycle, to be honest. And so what we do is we actually target the causes of leaky gut syndrome. We actually target a lot of the lifestyle. We help to seal the gut off, and then we help to correct where the problems are. So we get better absorption from our food. We get better response from what we're doing, and then we help support the system while we're doing it so that we don't have a chronic issue any longer. We actually correct it from the inside out.
It's a great opportunity to really go over the lining of your small intestines. It needs to be intact and very uniform. When we eat foods that inflame or we're sensitive to within our small bowels, that creates cracks in these walls that we want to have nice uniform cells that create. But there's cracks in here allow garbage to leak into our system, whether it's toxins, whether it's proteins, it's other things that our body doesn't need, bacteria, viruses. It's things that our body doesn't actually need. They actually leak through the intestines.
Into our bloodstream.
Into your bloodstream. What should happen is when food is ingested, your small intestine should only take what it needs. But with these gaping holes creating a leaky gut, now it's flooding our system and attacking our thyroid and making us have fatigue and other symptoms because of your thyroid not functioning properly. Yeah.
One of the analogies I like to use, because we get signs and symptoms all the time as humans with any type of case, but with thyroid specifically, you know, it typically starts with some type of fatigue, exhaustion, the temperature changes that, you know, oh, I'm really cold, things like that. So with that, those are signs and symptoms that our body tells us, hey, there's something wrong. Hey, there's something wrong. So, you know, I like to use the car as an analogy. I know you talked about speeding down the road using cruise control. Well, the check engine light's a great example as well. You know, you don't take your car to the mechanic when the check engine light's on and say, hey, can you reset the light? I don't want to deal with this right now. Yeah. Well, guess what? It's just going to keep on coming on until you correct the problem. So when we talk about symptoms, when we talk about all these things, you know, we don't want to just turn off the light or put a black piece of tape over it. We want to correct it. And that's actually what we're going to do with this program is correct those gaping holes. We're going to seal it off, allow the body to better support itself. And yeah, we're going to
stop inflaming the
thyroid. Exactly. This autoimmune response is just a vicious cycle. You know, a lot of thyroid patients have weight gain problems, and part of the weight gain isn't so much actual fat. It's a lot of times it's inflammation. It's literally the body fighting itself, trying to figure out how to use the things that are leaking into the bloodstream to filter it through. So a lot of it is actually inflammation, and that's why thyroid patients have a hard time losing weight.
So with the difficulty with thyroid treatments, there's a lot of things patients can do at home. We see that there's a lot of things that patients can try. And if they're not working for you, you're still having these symptoms, even if you're told, oh, your values are fine, we don't need to adjust your medication, but you're having symptoms, maybe there's some outside assistance. Dr. Gabby talked about a great program to help with the leaky gut syndrome, to help add to your health so that you can feel much better. If you're still having these symptoms, please give us a call. It depends on how you're watching the video. There's either the phone number or the email address attached here. Let us know what your symptoms are. Let us know if you're looking for help, and we will gladly help you guys. So just reach out and let us know. You got anything else to add?
I do. We can actually take care of all of this virtually. You do not have to leave the confines of your home. We can do things virtually like you're talking to us or seeing us right now. The paperwork can be sent digitally. So even if you're worried about coming in or you're from a little farther away than it's convenient, call us so we can help. That's what we're here for. That's literally why we do Medical Monday. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking about these things. Nobody wants to just sit around and talk about the thyroid, right?
No, but
we're doing it because we love everybody. We want everybody to get better and feel better. So absolutely. Click the link, email us, call us, whatever is best for you. That's what we're here for. So absolutely.
Reach out and let us know, and we'll help you guys out. Thank you all. Until next Monday.
Until next Monday.